Hello everyone, welcome back to another video here on Cluiche with me, Seamus, Brady, your host. And in this video, I'm going to give a run through of the LGFA Semi Finals, which will be taking place this Saturday between Kerry and Mayo and Cork and Dublin. We are in for a cracking Final Four. It's been a brilliant championship so far, some huge upsets. Of course, the All-Ireland champions of the past 2 years are gone. So we're going to have new winners this year, and it will come from one of these four teams. So I'm going to give my full preview and predictions for both of these semi-finals, who I think is going to get into the showpiece event. Starting with the game that is a replay of last year's All-Ireland football semi-final between Kerry and Mayo in Semple Stadium. Now, the first thing you have to think about when you are analysing this game is last year Kerry beat Mayo and they beat them relatively comfortably. So the obvious question is, how much have Mayo improved since then to potentially close the gap? Kerry last year beat Mayo, scoring 4 goals in the semi-final and looked flawless doing so. That was en route to the final against Meath, and that performance alone had me convinced that they were actually going to beat Meath in the final. Obviously, they didn't. This year, Kerry have taken massive steps elsewhere. They still haven't been able to get over Cork and Munster, which is a massive problem for them, especially with Cork being still in the championship on the other side of the draw. But they went away to Parnell Park and they beat Dublin, and they went and beat Meath in their home patch as well. So they've had some fantastic wins this season. The form of some of their players, particularly Louise Verhertig, is an outrageous forward. Then they have other stars, Hannah O'Donoghue, Shifra O'Shea, and are particularly around the midfield. Kerry are supremely strong. Lorraine Scanlon, Louise Galvin, Koch Lynch, Aisling O'Connell at 6, Emma Costello, Caught Devan at the back. They are not Caught Devan, Kaylee Cronin at the back. They are really, really strong. Kira Butler in goal as well, solid goalkeeper, although they had issues with the kickouts against Meath. And that is something that Mayo in particular will look at. Mayo, on the other hand, this season, Connacht champions, they beat Galway. Then they had some, iffy performances in the group stages, which then led to me tipping Galway to beat them in Pearse Stadium. And Mayo all of a sudden pulled it out of the bag again and beat Galway by a point, scoring the last minute by Shauna Howley. Fisted point with 20 seconds to go and the clock sends them into the semi-final. So this is a really, really hard game to call. Kerry and Mayo, it's a really, really difficult one to call. But official prediction time. Kerry versus Mayo in the All-Ireland LGFA semi-final at Semple Stadium. So Kerry versus Mayo, All-Ireland semi-final, a replay of last year's semi-final, which of course Kerry won by 4 goals. So the obvious question you have to ask yourself is, have Mayo closed the gap enough this year to turn this Kerry team over? The answer is, in my opinion, no. I still think Kerry are going to win. Not that I don't think Mayo have improved, because I think they have. Obviously, Connacht champions and beat Galway as well in the quarterfinal. You cannot underestimate that. But Kerry have got better this year as well. You look at them going away to Dublin and Parnell Park, beating Meath as well. They knocked out the All-Ireland champions. So I think Kerry take this one just about. Although I do think Mayo will put up a very, very good performance, but I'm still going Kerry to win this one. Which brings us on nicely to our other semi-final, Cork against Dublin, also being played in Semple Stadium. And this rivalry was one that defined the 2010s, because Cork were basically, it's crazy because it's very similar almost to like Detroit Pistons, Chicago Bulls. Cork were the Detroit Pistons to Dublin's Chicago Bulls. Dublin could not get over Cork for years. Cork were constantly the team who stopped Dublin in semi-finals, stopped Dublin in All-Ireland finals. Cork always just had a little bit too much for Dublin. And that Cork team that I'm talking about is, in my opinion, the greatest team that we've seen in football. Right up there with the Dublin men's footballers that obviously won 6 in a row. But Cork won 11 titles in 12 years. That type of stuff, you'll never see a dynasty like that again. Cork had the likes of Breed Stack, Breed Corkery, Valerie Mulcahy, Rena Buckley, genuine generational players. And that's why the Cork ladies are the best team on the ladies' side, and the Dublin men's are the best team on the men's side. Those two are the best teams who have ever played the game, in my opinion. Now, a lot has changed since then. Once Dublin finally got over that, then they went on their own dynasty, completing 4 in a row. They were blocked from doing the 5 in a row by Meath in the 2021 All-Ireland football final between the two counties. So a massive, significant moment there when Dublin got knocked off the perch. Since then, both counties have been in rebuild. Mick Bowen has embraced new talent, the likes of Kate Sullivan, Caoimhe O'Connor. They've become hugely integral to this Dublin team. Niamh Heatherton is another one. Cork on the other side have been in rebuild under Shane Ronayne now for a couple of years. But at the same time, still relying on experience this year. Like for both counties, Ciara O'Sullivan and Deireann O'Sullivan very much still doing the business for Cork. Whereas on the Dublin side, the likes of Carla Rowe and Hannah Tyrrell still lead the way. So this game is going to be so interesting in terms of who comes out on top. Cork, I was hugely impressed by how they went away to Armagh and got that victory. I know it was an Armagh side without Amy Mackin, but that's still a serious banana skin to avoid, and they did. Dublin, on the other hand, went away to Donegal, a team that actually knocked Dublin out of the championship last year, and Dublin beat them 3-12 to 6 points, which is a hugely impressive performance. So it's really hard to call who I think will win this game. Dublin have had the better over Cork over the last few years, but Cork psychologically, with all the finals that they seem to beat Dublin in, may have more confidence that they can do that. And Ciara O'Sullivan and Deireann O'Sullivan, as I said, were crucial in those final victories. So it's really hard to call. I'm going to narrowly go for Dublin, though. I'm going to narrowly go for Dublin here to take this game because... So my official prediction for this semi-final, I'm going to go with Dublin to narrowly shade Cork in this game. I think both sides had hugely impressive quarterfinal victories. Cork, as I mentioned, over Armagh, hugely impressive to go away there. Ciara O'Sullivan, 5 points in play, outstanding display. Dublin, though, on the other hand, what a performance against Donegal. 3-12 to 6 points. We beat Donegal by a team that knocked Dublin out of the championship last year at the quarterfinal stage. So I'm narrowly going to go with Dublin to shade it, which would then mean a Dublin v Kerry final on the men's side and on the women's side. Imagine that. What are the odds of that you would have got at the start of the year? But yeah, I could be completely wrong. I wouldn't be surprised if it's a Mayo Cork final, but that's just in this moment on the Thursday before the games take place on the Saturday. That's just how I feel right now in this moment. If you have to push me on it, I'm expecting a Kerry Dublin final, but I would not be surprised if any of the four teams get into the final showpiece. That's my preview and predictions of these games, guys. Make sure you enjoy them and enjoy the football All-Ireland final as well on this Sunday. It's going to be a cracking weekend of Gaelic football action. But from me here, until the next one, take care.